Hey Phil, here's a rebel prison deck list to radicalize and indoctrinate you into pure spicy communism. I'm sorry, what? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video, and today we are playing with Rebel Prison. Wait, no, not that Rebel. This sort of Rebel. So for those of you who haven't been playing for eons, the Rebel cycle of creatures has various activated abilities that allows you to search your library for another Rebel with a converted mana cost like slightly higher than the one that you currently have in play. The general idea being that each one of these is sort of like an army in a can, and versus control decks, you can have the ability to go and turn one creature into 2 or 3 or even 4 creatures. And individually, the rebels are not particularly strong. However, there's a strange degree of utility hidden in this package, as you can sometimes get things that are technically rebel cards that aren't necessarily the creatures that you might have in mind when you originally went to activate this ability. And the changelings and shapeshifters are probably the best example of that. So you can go activate one of your rebels, go and pull this out of your deck, and then the next turn pump like 5 mana, turn all your little like 1-2 rebels into real game ending threats, and then swing in for lethal. But Phil, don't all these rebel cards kind of, suck? Great question, Timmy, and indeed they do. However, we're going to try to break them a little bit here. We are going to play Training Grounds, which lets us reduce the activated abilities of creatures we control to make them cost 2 less, but it can't reduce them to cost less than 1 mana. So the idea here being that for a single mana, we can essentially draw a card and put it directly into play, which is something powerful that we can do. But temper your expectations here. This is definitely a can we steal a match or two deck, not a this is the new broken thing deck. Now, today's video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., Moxfield.com, as well as Eminence Gaming. And remember, if you need any paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So this is Samantha's sort of brew here. And there's a couple of cute things that we haven't talked about yet. Number one, there is a small Urza's Saga package. That contains a Meek Stone. So if you are worried about large creatures like Murktide Regent smacking you in the face over and over again, this just says no to that. While most of your creatures that are, roughly 2/2/1 sized are going to be able to just go and attack through that. Beyond that, Azorius Guildmage is something that's real cute if you do have Training Grounds in play. A repeatable 1 mana tap target creature or counter an activated ability is pretty good. Not necessarily, doomsday good or anything, but pretty good. We are a pseudo prison deck, and I say that because it's not like prison is 100% like the game plan that we're looking to do. We're looking to play kind of this fair attrition, activate rebels a bunch of times game plan. And the prison elements are supposed to be what gets us to the point where we can do that. This is a deck list that I have not adjusted. This is kind of one of those ones that we're going to play as is because it's spicy and strange. But there's definitely some cards that you would have to read in this deck list. There's a decent amount of interesting and unusual tech, some of which is really cool, some of which might be a little too spicy even for this deck list. So yeah, let's see if we can put a couple of W's on the board with this deck. I will play all 5 rounds out with this one, even if we get pummeled, as this is going to be fun. Let's battle. All right. This is a fine opening hand. I'm probably just supposed to play an Urza Saga Wasteland game with this hand. That's not what you all came to see, right? So we're not going to do that. Let's fetch grab a Tundra, play a Chromox, play a Solitude, play a Training Grounds, play a Sergeant, and pass. Now we can try to do cute things. All right. Is it just 1 mana to do? Which is cool. There's no sorcery speed restriction on this, right? Yeah. So let's drop a mirror entity and pass the turn. And as soon as next turn, I can start trying to attack with an army of creatures if I so desire. What is a wasteland? Absolutely. So for 1 mana, we'll go ahead and activate this. I will take the flyer here. So if I just activate this for 3, it's really like activating this for 5. So I think we're just battling. Let's play Urza Saga. Okay, sorry. Got it figured out. The interface here for this is not quite intuitive, I think. It worked the way it was supposed to, but the inputs to get the result I was supposed to get were not correct. Oh, my opponent is on slivers. So my opponent can potentially survive next turn. Assuming 1 more creature hits play off a vial. Oh yeah, and these will stack. So let's go ahead and fetch. Grab another blue thing. Raining Grounds. Just swing in with everything. All right, and we've got it. Even if my opponent has another creature, I just destroy 3 of their creatures here. Oh, which is super cool. Okay, we gotta redo some settings here. Magic Online currently has some reinstall bugs that are in process of being fixed and should be fixed later today, as of the time of my recording. Portable Hole seems reasonable. Mistcaller is interesting. I'll think about that. Revoker is interesting. Needle is interesting. Angelic Shield's not crazy. I probably don't... I think I start with what don't I want. I probably don't want Meekstone. Recruiter of the Guard is probably slower than I would like to go. That's going to give me Portable Hole, Pithing Needle. Archon's pretty good if it comes down early. I guess it can technically come down on turn 1. So I guess I'll keep it. I do sort of want these cards. Thalia not at her best here. Assume something like this is appropriate. This is probably not fast enough. Like, turn 2, I kind of remove a creature. Nah, I don't like this. This is fine. This is a keep. Revoker or one of the Rebels goes back. I'm going to go with one of the Rebels. I want to be able to answer an Aether Vial hand and a creature hand equally. Sort of an awkward turn. I think I am just going to play my Training Grounds this turn. I'll do so off of basic. The punish for this is the Hexproof Sliver. I'm fine taking 1 point of damage. I just don't want to commit the Swords to Plowshares too early. Yeah, there it is. Wrong hand for Mistcaller. So let's get this into play. There's a weird interaction that's pretty likely to come up here. Do I trade so my opponent's stuff doesn't fly anymore? I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 3. So we're gonna Urza Saga. And I think just pass the turn here. I've got 2 mana, activate this, then 1 mana. I don't really have 1 mana Swords to Plowshares, actually. I guess I will play out a Mistcaller. Don't Muscle Sliver me, no. So annoying. So this is the time where I go and do this now. So we'll do this. We're going to go ahead and bound in silence and attach this to Crystalline Sliver as it is a 3/3. Note that that does get around the Crystalline Sliver and the Unsettled Mariner, as that does not actually target. But unfortunately, this doesn't remove the creatures opening up Swords to Plowshares. I may just get aggroed down anyway. The Muscle Sliver was huge. So I make this land drop. 2, 7, 8, 9. Flying's good. So to do what I need to do, I need to Chrome Mox and imprint Swords to Plowshares. Gives me 2 mana to activate Urza's Saga, and then 2 mana to activate the Falcon. Another Unsettled Mariner. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't need to block. Alright. So I go 2 mana, make an Urza Saga thing. 2 mana, tutor up something big. I'll grab Mirror Entity. I'll float a mana. So what, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll in fact make it a little bit more. I will Chrome Mox, imprint Sergeant, and then max out Mirror Entity. Believe. Yep, that'll do. It's very unintuitive how Training Grounds is supposed to be paid for online. Not how the card works. I was skeptical that we were going to win a game, but here we are taking down round 1. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com, just the best place to keep your online deck lists, and the reason I say that is it just has so much functionality. So for example, let's take a look at some random legacy deck here. You can click on your various 2-drop slots and you can see what % chance you have of casting various things on curve, and you can get a breakdown of your mana symbols and all of that stuff, and there's a lot more here than just this. Consider checking it out. This is just an exceptional legacy hand by like normal legacy standards. Like turn 1 Thalia into turn 2 Archon is very good against most decks in the format. We're just playing against a red prison deck here and we just get mooned. It's rough. Fable's fine. This sort of hand is definitely worse against this deck. Hopefully that doesn't matter much. I'm not gonna fetch. So let's Chrome Mox and imprint the Training Grounds, and then throw a Thalia into play. That at least blanks the initial attack. But I'm very dependent on not getting Blood Mooned here with this particular hand. Ooh, my opponent probably has Minsk and Boo in their deck. Potentially like the green-red initiative deck list, rather than Moon Stompy, which is a boon for me. Palace on 1 is not going to do a lot against what I have going on here. So we will Saga. I will drop Archon. And I believe that I will be the beatdown that I want to see in the world. I think I have moved into the stage of the aggressor. One's out 14. So this Archon is going to do a good amount of work in keeping my opponent from playing something like a Minsk and Boo immediately. But I am in a position where a Fury would be kind of brutal. I will just take the block here. My opponent is doing this attack for this mana. I don't think this is bait on a removal spell, because most of the red removal would already kill Archon. Right, there is Minsk and Boo. Okay, sure. You can finish off that Archon. My opponent has to give up either Reflection of Kiki Jiki or Minsk and Boo to continue the game the way they want to. And I assume it will be Reflection of Kiki Jiki. It will. I think I will probably end up overpowering the Minsk and Boo. It's very much not guaranteed, though. So they get a new hamster. It turns into a 4/4. It's the follow-up play of an initiative creature that's actually scary. Okay, that's beatable. That's a little bit more of a pain. So we're going to start making construct tokens. We're going to try to kind of outsize everything here. So This turns everything into 3/3s. This next thing turns everything into 4/4s. Basilisk Collar is pretty good here. Death Touch on a first striker historically is pretty annoying. We're going to go ahead and equip the Thalia. And I think I'm willing to trade these if my opponent wants. Or alternatively trade 2 bodies for 1 body. I think either way that's fine. Send both at Minsk and Boo and see how my opponent reacts. Okay, we are going to do a little trade Z here. So these 2 bodies will trade. And my opponent can eat something with the hearse. Yep, that's fine. So then this process will repeat. And I'd like to just draw any artifact off the top. That's a scary card here. Just 5 looks at an initiative creature. It is a Fury. So my opponent is probably trying to draw a mana source to put that Fury into play this turn. Oh, rough. Okay. Well, let's Basilisk Collar and grow this creature to a 4/4. Or sorry, 3/3. It still has Death Touch, which means it can accomplish the things that I want it to accomplish. Yeah. Alright, so my opponent has blocked. Now they'll exile 2 things from graveyards. Yep. Alright, so I can choose to play Defiant Falcon or not. I think I'm okay with my opponent playing Fury and just eating this small creature. I don't know if they would play out Fury if I just pass the turn. Like, my opponent may or may not know how scary 1 Defiant Falcon is. This opens up my top decks to just being reasonable things to actually play out. I can eat a couple of points of damage from this stuff before things get scary. I mean, not exactly what I was hoping for, but that does a lot of work in slowing down the clock. Kind of the big question here is, like, who is going to top deck better? And I think it's my opponent. Their Chalice doesn't do a ton, but, like, it is in play. And it means that some of my searching rebels are dead draws. My opponent does not have access to green mana as of right now. Okay. Oh, no. And here we're going to see a very big difference between Bound and Fury as a real removal spell and this. Okay, yeah, so there's a dead draw. Unless I get Cavern of Souls. I think I'm just going to lose to Fury plus Fable. The 2/2s here are super beatable, but I can't beat recurring removal every turn without Urza Saga. Oh, that's green mana off the token. At this point, I think I am comfortable conceding, just like with the bonus damage and card draw that Minsk and Boo represents, and Fury as a follow-up. Actually, no, I'm 1 turn too slow, right? Because I can't play this out, activate it, and attack with it as well. I am already on a 2-turn clock. Yeah, that'll do. It was more of a game than I was expecting it to be. Revoker and Pithing Needle for Minsk and Boo seem great. I had the ability to tutor up a Meekstone this game, and I just didn't, which probably means that I bored that out, despite the fact that, like, my opponent does have some large-ish creatures. The issue here is that, like, initiative creatures still keep winning the game, even if they're tapped. And so does a Minsk and Boo that created hamsters. Recruiter's a little slow for this matchup. I guess Recruiter just represents free Solitude, though. That matters. Can trim a Thalia. I mean, there's other sort of interesting things that I can play, but don't know that I'm into them. Nope. This doesn't work mana-wise. This is an awkward one. Like, I can play this, and these don't share a creature type for Cavern of Souls. And I don't know that a slow Urza Saga game is actually winning. I am going to go to 5. I am rewarded with a no-colored source hand. So we will go to 4. Blooded Strand, Sergeant. Land Training Grounds. This is honestly pretty damn good. Like, this has a very real chance of winning this game of Magic. We'll start on basic planes, and then next turn I'll do Training Grounds. Chalice of the Void would be a little unfortunate, but a lot of things would be unfortunate right now. Oh, and sorry, I just realized I still have some settings wrong. I'll get the remaining settings fixed in between games. Smells like Chalice of the Void. Negative is a Lilia, the Blade Reforged, which is fine. Obviously no blocks, and then we'll just deal with that. Oh, that's fine. I'm going to Training Grounds, and I'm going to just hold up both my options. I think I will 100% answer Lilia in some capacity, and I think it is with the Sergeant activation. But if my opponent just casts a Chalice of the Void, I will absolutely change my mind. So we activate. Oh, this is the wrong one. Oh, whoops. This is a major misplay. I should have Source of Plowshare in this turn cycle. Just active mistake. This gives my opponent an extra look at a relevant card. They missed on a relevant card, but I take some extra damage for what I did. Hopefully that's not a deal breaker. It's quite bad if my opponent... I guess if my opponent Furies, they were getting multiple things anyway. Alright, they do just cast the Spirit Guide. Land is great. We'll just pass the turn here. What I did may accidentally end up being a better line in the long term. So now we activate the bigger one and get the Bound in Silence. Lilia can't attack or block. Do I want to trade with the Spirit Guide here? No. Yeah, we'll just take that damage. That's fine. Go to 9. See what my opponent has. It is a Fury. I'll obviously respond to that by activating. I'll grab the Flyer. No, actually, I'll grab the Lieutenant. And this is like a 2-for-1 in that it's killing 2 of my creatures, but I got those from one body, and I still ended up with this left over, so things are honestly not that bad. My opponent can attack with both of these. All Swords to Plowshares Fury. And just take that out of the way. Fine taking 2 points of damage here. A Spirit Guide is totally fine. So I can make 2 7/7 creatures. I think I'll just pick up a Lin Sivvi here and try to win the following turn. This is an X3, which matters. Is playing Thalia good? Probably not. Oh, actually, maybe. Right, 2 mana for this, 1 mana for this. Yeah, that's fine. It locks me into tapping Ancient Tomb. A Hearse is fine. Alright, cool. End of turn. 2 mana to activate that. Get a Mirror Entity. 1 mana to activate this. Get a Falcon. Yeah. Go to combat. Can I just swing in with everything here and have it be okay? My opponent blocks 3 things. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, but all their stuff is dead. My opponent blocks 2 things. They are dead. Alright, yeah. Alright, my opponent blocks. I activate this. Alright, everything becomes absolutely massive, and my opponent dies. Alright, good stuff. This is working better than I expected. Do I want Leonin Relic Warder as something that can exile a Fable, as I'm pretty bad at dealing with that? It's definitely reasonable. Maybe Giver of Runes isn't particularly good. My opponent just has like multiple colors of creatures, so it's not always forcing damage through. And it doesn't protect super well from Fury. This is an auto mulligan. It does not have enough mana. Fuck. Without a training grounds, I don't think this one gets here. I would keep this with a training grounds. I'll go to 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. The hand is reasonable with any rebel as a draw. And can have 3 basics. Or can have 2 basics and the ability to bounce a Lilia. Okay. Tomb goes back. And this fetch land goes back. Let's see what my opponent does. There's an insane amount of variance in this turn. It is a Fable. Not the Lilia or otherwise creature that we were hoping for. I think I need to halt mana production by Swords to Plowsharing that creature. I will do that off planes as to not show Caracas. Definitely under the gun here. Ooh, I only wanted to discard 1 card there. It probably doesn't bode super well for me. Hopefully they needed this 4th mana. You're in the beginning of combat. Yeah. That is a Magus of the Moon, which shuts off Training Grounds, which was one of the primary reasons that I kept the hand. So that's a little rough. It also shuts off Caracas, which was a secondary reason why I kept the hand. We're not out of it, but this is like top deck versus top deck mode where my opponent already has 4 power in play. And Reflection of Kiki Jiki gets to amplify the power of a lot of their draws. Life's bad. It's a good draw. Get a bird in play. But again, my bird does not search out a true Oblivion Ring, which is problematic for both of the creatures that are actually on the battlefield. But I do have ways to spiral this game out of control. Fiery Confluence. Ugh. I am at 10 after that. So not a lot of time to draw out. Okay. These are Magic the Gathering cards. I mean, Mirror Entity Basilisk Collar does stuff technically, but my opponent can just hold back Reflection of Kiki Jiki, make a copy of Magus of the Moon, and then they don't actually take any damage. Oof. I think we lose to Fury plus Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Like, I take 4 now, going to 6, and Fury alone does 6, and my opponent can make a copy of it. So, like, I can draw Swords of Plowshares, remove Fury, take 4 next turn, and then probably be dead. Yeah, my opponent copies Fury, attacks with 2 of them, and I am dead on board. That was a great game of Magic, honestly. Eminence Gaming's Command Tower software is a fantastic way to run 4-player EDH or CEDH events, and it's also great for 1v1 tournaments. It has easy event registration, and there's no download required. Everything just runs in browser. The best part is that it's only $5. Visit eminence.events for details. All right, what am I looking at here? Turn 1 Meekstone, turn 2 Thalia. Both my creatures can be uncounterable, or just alternatively turn 1 this, turn 2 Thalia. And keep my hand. I'm going to just lead on the Cavern. Like, if I play the Meekstone out early, it's just a gamble based on what the matchup is. Yeah, unclear whether or not that's good. Yeah, Meekstone, probably not good against Underground Sea Preordain, which is probably unfair in some capacity or other. Oh, Lotus Petal now. Hello? Fuck. Alright. We will cast an uncounterable Thalia and start trying to do big punchies. I say as I attack with my 1/1. There's a Boseiju. What are we playing against? Is that a, like, Ant Flex slot? Green would be weird for Doomsday. I can go 2 mana for Training Grounds, 1 mana for Activate Sergeant, which I think I am fine with doing. This can technically be countered to stop what I'm doing. Alright, Thalia Smash. Opponent's at 17. What are we doing? Wishclaw Taliesin. Alright, we are storming. So, I will activate this. I have to get a 2-drop here. Which one it is shouldn't matter. I'm going to get a flyer. I can 2 mana, get Mirror Entity, activate Mirror Entity for 4, hit my opponent for 8, and lower their life total, which sounds kind of cool, honestly. Fetch. Grab Tundra. For 3 or less. Activate. Mirror Entity. Make everything base 4/4s. Swing on in with my creatures, which brings my opponent to 9. I am maybe supposed to Solitude my own creature for 4 life here. It's a little weird, but with this Thalia in play, there's a good chance that individual points of life might end up mattering. Alright, we're going. Lotus Petal is mana neutral. Costs 1 to get 1, so it's a color converter and Storm Booster. Okay, cool. Did not have a lot of time there. For Wishclaw Talisman. For more other Wishclaw Talisman. Yeah. Mariner seems good. Meddling Mage seems respectable. Don't think I want this graveyard stuff. Angel's Grace is cute. Portable Hole is okay. Relic Order is okay. Angel's Grace doesn't actually do what I want, right? Against Tendrils specifically. Damage that would reduce your loss of life to less than 1 reduces to 1, but Tendrils is loss of life, so I don't lose the game that turn, but I lose the turn as soon as state-based effects are checked on my own turn. Yeah, so that doesn't do what I want. Solitude out. Bound in Silence out. Meekstone out. Basilisk Collar out. Swords to Plowshares out. Okay, I just don't have enough mana for this hand to be functional. So this is a mulligan. Quick check. This sucker is a changeling? No, not you. You. That is a changeling. This is just turn 1 Sergeant, turn 2 attack protection against Tendrils. That's fine. I'll put one of these back into the deck. Take this one for Dread of Night reasons. It's possible that, like, my turn 2 is too slow on the draw. Thoughtseize slows me down a lot here. My opponent chose correctly. So I will Tundra and Training Grounds, and now I have turn 3 instead of turn 2, which is definitely spooky. Cards are so good. Ooh, I might get punished for putting the third one of those back to keep flexibility and having like all my colors plus the acceleration. Never punished. Never didn't have it. Not expecting days from my opponent. So we will Thalia. That's real good off the top for me, obviously. It's not a permanent solution. Like winning through Thalia is very possible for a deck that presumably has Cabal Ritual in it. There's that Boseiju again. Nice. Love the Falcon. Bam. 13. Drop a burb. Okay, cool. Thalia is keeping my opponent from winning, which is going to allow me to dig into my deck more. I'm fine with doing marginal deck thinning here. Bam. My opponent goes to 11. I think I wait on this activation until my opponent's turn. It's now too late for the timing for the thing that I want to do. But it still may surprise my opponent. Yes. Ball Ritual. Mind's Desire. Okay. Whiff. Whiff. Not whiff. The next time I get priority, No, I don't need to respond to a Thoughtseize. I don't have anything in hand worth having. Alright. Are you still going? You are still going. Oh, yeah. Hold on, is my opponent just dead to Mirror Entity? My opponent's just dead to Mirror Entity. I can even Meddling Mage on Abrupt Decay here. So play Ancient Tomb, activate Mirror Entity, make a pair of 6/6, We've gotten the GGs from my opponent. We're currently positive with our win rate with this deck. Okay, I've got a bit of a tricky hand here. I'm on the play. I don't have a Training Grounds. I don't have an Ancient Tomb. Like, my hand is essentially turn to Thalia, hope I don't get wastelanded, and then try to spiral the game. I think I'm just gonna mulligan it. This is a similar caliber hand. Not really doing anything unfair. I'm gonna fish harder. Okay. So I'm keeping this hand. It's a bit YOLO. Put Thalia under? I think that's what I'm into. I'm gonna fetch Tundra for this game. We will Chrome Mox, imprint Thalia, and turn 1 a thing that allows me to spiral the game out of control. Once upon a time. Probably like the whole Fiend Artisan Elves deck, whatever you want to call it. Drew Bound in Silence. A weird card to draw. The fact that activated abilities can still activate through this is rough. Orcish Bowmasters also is potentially pretty annoying here. Let's go ahead and do this. You need an extra mana. And get one of these that just activates for 3 mana instead. Let's do that. I don't think I'm quite ready to start turning the corner on this game yet. Hello. Hello, Training Grounds. That's a good draw. Potentially allows some cool lines in the not too distant future. Fuck. I might lose this game for drawing Bound in Silence. Yeah, if I could stop the 9/9, it is not lethal. 9, 15, 19. Blah. I guess I could search something and survive, but not in a way that's meaningful. Actually, considering the Ancient Tomb damage, we're not getting there. That's pretty unfortunate. Like, I probably win that game if Bound in Silence is in my deck. Ugh. Maybe we need a second one of those. Alright, Mist Caller, get in here. Peacekeeper, you're an X-Fall and you die to Orcish Bowmasters. It makes me sad. Revoker for Fiend Artisan is fine. Hissing Needle is fine. I don't even think Angel's Grace is crazy. I guess I'm not excited about X1 Thalia here. Meekstone's weird, because, like, I have my Urza Saga tokens. There's some number of games where Basilisk Color on Urza Saga tokens repeatedly is how I stave off death. I think I want Portable Hole. Go Meekstone out. I have a bunch of kind of mediocre things, like Meddling Mage. I am going to play the Angel's Grace. Again, kind of awkward versus Orcish Bowmasters, but I think there's a lot of times where one more turn is the difference between who is dead and who is alive. I don't think this is fast enough or consistent enough here. This is not the game that I want to play versus this deck, but it is the game that I have been offered, so we're going to keep this. I believe that this is supposed to be a turn 2 Urza Saga hand, and I just intend on swordsing whatever my opponent's first play is. I just dropped the Urza Saga into play now. It's just very awkward. A Delighted Halfling. Not played out. Again, we're just going to take any possible first play here. Gaia's Cradle is a thing that exists in my opponent's deck, and I want to minimize its impact. So this turn will be the Delighted Halfling, and looks like more than just that. And a Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. That's good ramp. This is an insane draw that I cannot actually cast, which is super disappointing. Because I can lose to Natural Order shenanigans. Okay. Cradle. Well, I have to respond to that. Which is super unfortunate. I really need the second construct to boost my artifact count, and, like, there is just this second Urza Saga here. And I don't have another white card in hand to Chrome so that I can Skyclave and unlock the secondary Urza Saga. Basically, I'm just sad. And a green sun for Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh, for another Delighted Halfling. Interesting. Okay. So I float some mana. I'm going to Chrome Imprint the Sergeant. Play Saga. White to Skyclave. Skyclave, I think I'm taking out Pithing Needle and passing the turn. If my opponent has something big and scary like Critterhoof in hand already, which I think getting Delighted Halfling there indicates that, I have some long-term problems. Maybe short-term problems. 4 mana, it is Natural Order. Yeah, Mist Caller though. We are very dead here. GG's. Is this hand good enough? This is turn 1, Giver of Runes, probably off a basic. Turn 2, Imprint Mirror Entity, play Lin Sivvi. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, we know what we're playing against. I may actually change my mind and get a basic island now. If I do that, it means committing Chrome Mox this turn so I can play Giver. Then I have access to all of my colors and never get locked out of cards. Yes. Chrome Mox, Imprint Mirror Entity, cast Giver, and pass, intending on fetching a basic island. Unless things get particularly weird in some capacity. Blood Sun instead. I'm still on basic island. And my opponent gets to cantrip. So my opponent's probably a little bit bigger with planeswalkers. That's the takeaway here. And I will be holding this back, because protecting this is very important, because my entire game hinges around getting more rebels into play. Well, that's Karn. Blowing up Chrome Mox. Sure. Am I on punchies now? Do I just have to hit this Karn while I can, since Ensnaring Bridge is coming? Maybe not. I think I can still just tutor. Did I outrace Ensnaring Bridge most of the time? Yeah. I'm still going to hold up Giver. There's a lot of bad things that Karn can get here. Depends on how robust my opponent's sideboard is. Brings it down to 4 loyalty. That's a Sorceress Spyglass, which is super awkward for me because I can't really fetch Mirror Entity in response to that. So we'll fetch something different. Just grab a Lieutenant. Then I have 2 different things in play that can then search up Mirror Entity. It's possible I'm supposed to activate Giver of Runes in response, or exactly like land drop into Fiery Confluence. Okay, my opponent has shut off Lin Sivvi and created a blocker for Karn. So I would like pay 4 mana to get Mirror Entity and then try to kill my opponent next turn, or at least kill Karn next turn. I could Bound in Silence the Goblin token and hit my opponent Karn for 4 so they can't tutor again with it. Or no, sorry. I could hit the Karn for 2, meaning they lose it if they tutor with it. I don't think I want to do that. We're chilling. My opponent gets to do some looting. Looted away Rabble Master. New Blood Sun is fine. Okay, they're plussing on their critter. Okay. End of turn. We'll activate this and grab the Mirror Entity. I have Giver of Runes. Okay. Yeah, you can kill that directly. Giver noticeably worse than Mother in these sorts of situations. So I can attack with 3 4/4s at Karn, which is not lethal. Blood Sun's shutting off Flooded Strand's ability to tap for mana is so much worse than Blood Moon for me right now. I'm not happy with this situation. So that is no blocks on Karn. For 2 mana, I can kill Karn and then still drop a Falcon. Alright. Karn is dead. I'll still make this as a land drop even though it doesn't do anything. Now I'll drop the Falcon. The problem here is that my opponent can kill my mirror entity, and the other one is currently in exile because it was imprinted on a Chrome box early on in this game. So the game becomes harder to win from here just through Grove of the Burn Willow, Punishing Fires, picking my creatures off. Yeah. Yep. Now my opponent returns it a second time and then takes one of these two out. And I'm just a little short on mana here to have better lines available. That helps a lot. So I can now Swords the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, drop an Archon, crash in for 2. Archon can never die to Punishing Fire, as long as I don't block the Goblin Shaman token. My opponent can still Punishing Fire a thing on their turn, Punishing Fire a thing on my turn. Another Fable's good. I think my opponent missed 2 damage, though. Like, I think if they attack with Goblin Shaman, I can't block it. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and return. And they can go after the Falcon. I'll just activate the Falcon in response and replace it. I don't think I need the Bound in Silence yet. Training Grounds is potentially cool. Dash in for a little bit of damage. But I think my opponent is just going to have the inevitability here. They've presumably got, some big Chandras of some kind in there, some initiative creatures or whatever. Alright, so I can block with Lin Sivvi, but if I do this turn, my opponent can just Punishing Fire it and move on with their lives. I don't think I block this turn, but in a future turn when Karakas is available, I think the block is fine. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that I was afraid of. So that's a board wipe. My opponent now has an unchecked Planeswalker with Punishing Fire control on the game. I am comfortable conceding here. I like Revoker and Pithing Needle for Planeswalkers. Full Guide Lantern is okay for Punishing Fire. Mariner is a good thing. I guess all these things are interesting. So this plus these are things that I can think about in this matchup. Meekstone is coming out. Giver of Runes doesn't protect the way that I want it to in this matchup. Thalia on the play is interesting. I don't know that I'm super interested in Thalia on the draw. It also may be that I just need to take out some number of creatures to fill with some of this stuff. Thalia is kind of good versus Punishing Fire, but only kind of. It's not the best Bound in Silence matchup. Recruiter is slow here. I'm gonna bring in Relic Order for Bridge. And I think I'm going to keep Thalia on the play and remove Thalia on the draw. That's a weird hand. I can just Pithing Needle on turn 1 on a gamble to shut off an appropriate Planeswalker and then curve into Thalia Archon. I would say this is unexciting, but fine. And I think I name Karn the Great Creator. Basic planes here for sure. We'll shut off my opponent's tutor board immediately and see what happens. That is a Blood Sun. Not the best for me. Awkward. I still think I'm supposed to get the basics in case they do have Blood Moons as well. So my white cards are this and this and this. I'm gonna name Core. Or wait, no, I don't get to name. JK, I can skip that step. Alright. We're gonna hope that, like, City of Traders... Or no, Blood Sun. JK. That's an Ensnaring Bridge that I'm just gonna have to deal with. Alright. So we're going to play a Lieutenant. My Urza Saga doesn't do anything. I've lost my ability to kind of perfectly curve out the way that I want to this game, which is probably highly favorable for my opponent. Getting the basic also bites me in the butt here since I drew double Training Grounds. 5 mana. Fable. Sure. Man, my lands are so bad versus Blood Sun. If I'd gotten Tundra on 1, I could play Training Grounds this turn, activate next turn. I'm fully holding this back. I don't want to give my opponent multiple good attacks with the Goblin Shaman. But I think my opponent just won this one off the back of the Blood Sun disrupting my mana. Like, if my mana was disrupted and I didn't just draw blanks afterwards, maybe we're okay. Alright, cool. I am comfortable conceding to Punishing Firelock. Like, I'm Punishing Firelocked while I am down 3 land drops with 2 other dead cards in hand. Like, I could technically continue playing because, like, an Archon doesn't immediately die to a Punishing Fire, but this Ensnaring Bridge is also just going to beat me, as will Fable copying some random stuff. So this is fine. We put up 2 wins with this deck, which is honestly quite impressive. Alright, so at the end of the deck, how do we feel about good old Rebel? This thing's just broken today. A Rebel Stompy. It was fun, and honestly better than I thought. I guess I wonder how the consistency can be improved, right? Like, there's this Recruiter of the Guard package that's not particularly robust. Like, it can also search for some of the other regular stuff in the deck. But, like, some of the openers where I could just, like, play one of these and a Training Grounds on turn 1 Goldfished very quickly. So, like, I wonder if you're supposed to go up 1 more Chrome Mox or something. I wonder about the land situation. Like, do you want more Urza Sagas than what this deck is currently running? You want more Tundras than what this deck is currently running? I think there's room for optimization in this deck list. But optimizing this deck list would be one of those things you're doing for fun, you know, for surprising your friends at a local Friday Night Magic or something like that. I don't think we have competitive tournament legs, but I was pleasantly surprised by the things that we were capable of doing. We never got some of the cool lines in this league, like 1 mana Azorius Guildmage take over the game with Training Grounds, but like as we saw, just like tap out Mirror Entity is pretty good. I will say I'm quite happy that we didn't just run into Orcish Bowmasters all day, because like we do have a very decent number of X1 based creatures in this deck, Thalia as well. And I don't know that I would have a good time playing against Orcish Bowmasters. For that matter, I don't know how we fare versus Delver, where like Wasteland is a thing, multiple counterspells and discard and bolts are a thing, as well as Bowmasters all at the same time. But we had a pretty good run of it today. The sideboard could probably be less cute and narrow. Like, Angelic Shield probably doesn't belong. Lightbringer is probably too slow for what's going on here. Like, I understand that it is conceptually an out to something like a reanimated troll that you can just tutor. But I'm not sure that that's going to be better than just playing good cards. Same thing is probably true for Angel's Grace. Like, that's a very cute gotcha moment, and we did board it in a couple of times, but I think the sideboard could be vastly improved by just picking a couple of directions and playing multiple copies of those good cards. Meddling Mage and Unsettled Mariner for sure, though, we're strong. With that being said, folks, I have you now. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and if you need any paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. See ya!